we're going to examine polynomial expressions. So, if we remember from grade 9, a polynomial is a grouping of terms being added or subtracted together. So, a term is either a number or a variable, or it's if I take a number and a variable and multiply them together, or if I take a number as a fraction, so a division, that's also being multiplied by a variable. If I add these terms together or if I subtract the terms together, we have what's called a polynomial. So let me give you a couple examples. This first one, 3x squared, remember we can classify our polynomials by how many terms they have. So if I have one term, 3x squared, we call that a monomial. If I subtract a term from it, so 4x, so 4 times x is being subtracted from 3x squared. There's 2, we call that a binomial, and if I add a 7 to the end, now I have 3 terms that are being added and subtracted together. That's called a trinomial. So what we want to do is we want to add together polynomials. So for example, if I take two trinomials, I have this 3x squared minus 4x plus 7, and I'm going to add to it a second trinomial, which is 6x squared plus 2x minus 3. So if I have a question that says simplify, what that means is I want to take these two polynomials and I want to add them together. Okay, so in order for us to do that, what we need to do is we need to remember that with an expression, we only have one side of what we usually look at in an equation. So because I'm going to do that, I'm going to put an equal sign right at the front to show that this is an expression in my next line. And remember, with adding, this is an operation that the brackets are just like placeholders. I can put in brackets or take away brackets, but as long as there's an addition between the two of them, the brackets are just placeholders. They're not actually performing an operation. So if I want to simplify these two trinomials and add them together, I don't actually need the brackets. So I'm going to take them away. Okay? And then remember, when we're adding two trinomials together, what we're looking for is we're going to group together and collect like terms. So from grade 9, like terms means that the variable part of the term is the same. So for example, 3x squared and 6x squared, their variable part is x squared for both. So those are like terms. If you examine this string of 6 terms, we can also find two more types of like terms. I have a negative 4x and a positive 2x that have x variable parts. So they also have to be raised again to the same exponent. And those are like terms. And then I have a positive 7 and a negative 3. Those are also like terms. So I have 3 sets of like terms. So again, we're going to take the like terms and we're going to collect them. We're going to add them or subtract them. So remember, adding and subtracting like terms means I'm going to take the number part, which is called the coefficient, and I'm going to add or subtract them from each other. So for example, 3x squared plus 6x squared, that's going to give me 9x squared. The negative 4 and positive 2, that's going to give me negative 2x. And positive 7 and negative 3, that'll add together to give me positive 4. Okay? So, like I said, because this is an expression, we're going to make sure that we line up our equal signs right at the front of the expression. So each line should be one underneath the other, and it should have equal signs lined up right on the left-hand side. Okay? So similarly, what we're going to do now is we're going to look at subtracting polynomials. What I want to do is I'm going to take those same two trinomials that we had that we added together, but this time I'm going to simplify by subtracting them. So with subtraction, it's a little bit different. The brackets actually are not just placeholders. They're saying that I'm going to take that second trinomial and I'm going to subtract the entire thing. Okay, so I'm going to write it out again. And so in my next line, that negative sign, or the subtraction of the second trinomial, has to be applied to each term in the trinomial. So we're going to take that negative sign and I'm going to change all the signs into what's called the opposite. So the first trinomial stays the same, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to change all the signs in the second one. So now I have 3x squared minus 4x plus 7, and I'm going to subtract 6x squared, subtract 2x, and I'm going to add 3x. All three of those terms are going to switch signs. Okay? Once I've done that, the rest of it's the same. Again, I'm going to collect my like terms. So again, we have x squared terms, x terms, and constant terms, just like the last time, the constant terms being the ones that don't have variables attached to them. Okay, and then we're going to add and subtract like terms the same way we did before. This time I have 3x squared and I'm subtracting 6x squared, so that's going to give me a negative 3x squared. Negative 4x minus 2x is going to give me negative 6x, and the positive 7, positive 3 is going to give me a positive 10.